Hey folks, it's Robin Robbins here. I am sitting down with, or virtually sitting down with founder of ThreatLocker, Danny Jenkins. If you are a client of mine, if you've been around our events, I'm sure you've heard of him. He helps MSPs implement zero trust environments to protect their clients from ransomware. And got a tough question for you today, Danny. I want to ask you why taking away administrator permissions to stop ransomware is really just a bullshit sugar pill. I know that's a bomb to drop on you, but I'm just going to ask you flat out, why is that?
Well, I think this is a problem across the security industry in general, is we're taking lots of sugar pills and not doing tangible things to help us. We actually have a webinar we're going to do with you guys later on in the month on the 22nd, which we're actually going to show demonstrations of this, of ransomware running without administrative permissions. The reality is being administrator isn't required to run any software, period. And it's certainly not required to run ransomware. I mean, why would they make it hard to run their software? They want to run it on everything. And you can run WannaCry, you can run anything you want just under a local user context, and it can still see all of your data and it can still encrypt all your files. And, I'm saying that as one of our solutions we offer is a PAM solution. We give you the tool to take away administrative permissions and make your life easier. But still, you buying that to stop ransomware is like taking paracetamol or Tylenol to stop herpes. It's not going to work.
Right. Okay. So, well, I think that it's confusing. I mean, in the MSPs that are out there, I mean, they're getting told all kinds of things from all different vendors all day long. So, it is tough for them to navigate through this. And I think let's talk a little bit about zero trust, because that is now becoming a requirement for NIST, I believe, CMMC. I mean, that's definitely and talk about that a little bit. I mean, that's where I think a lot of these regulatory bodies are moving towards these zero trust environments. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what zero trust means is, I mean, we love it as a marketing buzzword, but it means something. It's supposed to mean something anyway, which is supposed to mean deny or least privilege. So don't give access where access isn't required. It's not a product as such. I mean, we have tools and products to help you get there easier, but it really is the concept. Hey, do you need access to the file in the company? Do you need access to this application? Do you need access to this network resource? Does this application need access to this? If it doesn't have access. Not do I trust it to behave, but we only give on the least privileged basis. And it's been one of those things that's terrifying for people, because they're often scared of, well, I don't know who and what needs access to what. But it doesn't have to be. I mean, it is very, very effective. If you take away privilege by default and then you give where required, you change the dynamics from, hey, there's 144 million unique pieces of ransomware released this year. How are we going to detect every single one of them? To, I don't give a crap about what was released this year. I'm not going to detect anything. I'm just going to say, this is good and this is all that's running, and everything else is denied by default. That's an example of what zero trust is. Take away everything that isn't required and allow by exception, and then make it easy is the real goal.
Right. Because I think that was the problem with antivirus. At some point, it was like there's way too many malware viruses out there that one program couldn't identify them all. At one point, how long ago was that, when you could install like an antivirus and there was known viruses and they came out slow? I mean, that's not even a viable option today. So
I think that's when there was floppy disks, and that's how the viruses came around. And that was
right.
And that was about it.
It wasn't that long ago. I mean, it sounds like a dinosaur, but in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that long ago. Let me ask you something else, because I think one of the reasons many MSPs aren't stepping into this zero trust approach to cybersecurity is they're afraid, if I do this, is, my client's going to be blowing up my ticketing board in my phone saying, I can't get access to this, I can't get access to that. I think a lot of them are afraid of that. So can you talk about that? Is that a real concern, or?
Well, no, and obviously we're talking about zero trust as a framework, and we're trying to get to the least amount of privilege possible. You don't do that everything overnight. You don't take away physical access and start locking down LAN ports overnight when that's the smallest problem. You challenge the biggest problems with the least amount of work. And if you're inspiring to zero trust, the first thing you want to inspire to is blocking any applications that aren't trusted, and then ring fencing them. And I'll go more into that in a moment. So they can't do more than they need to, because they're going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. Mm-hmm. the reality is, if you think about this for a minute, there's two fears around this. One is, well, how do I even get started? I can't take on the project right now. If I hear that word, and you hear it all the time in marketing, I'm too busy to do marketing. I'm too busy to do sales. Well, it's the same thing in security. I'm too busy to implement zero trust. I'm too busy to put security in place. The reality is, it doesn't take that much time. If you think about it like this, if you think about, I mean, we're going to do this with you. We're literally going to walk you through every step over 5 calls, typically 5 to 8 calls. You're going to deploy an agent. That's going to take you 15 minutes. If you talk shit to me for too long, it'll end up wasting an hour of your time. But we're going to deploy an agent. It's going to learn your environment. And that gives you a baseline. It's going to say, hey, this is what your environment looks like. So this is what you trust right now. You can review that list, and you're going to see some things on there that make you uncomfortable, like maybe a coupon clipper or 2 or things like this. You can remove anything you don't want. And then after a learning period, it's automatic, but you wait a week, you wait 2 weeks, you go in, you review, you simulate what it would look like. We're talking about half an hour's work here. And you say, okay, I'm okay to lock down. And then you check a box, and then you're locked down. Then really, there might be some exceptions over the first few months where you need to create the exceptions, but we're talking about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, at which point we're going to walk you through all those exceptions. And that's really the end of it. What you find is, you spend a little bit more time, because if a customer wants something new, they now have to request it. But that request takes 60 seconds to send. You can go into your help desk. You can go into your ticketing system help. You can even send it to us, and we'll follow your procedures for you to do it for you. And then it takes 60 seconds to approve. So it's a very small amount of time. It's a little bit of a speed bump when you go to put something new. But how often does somebody go out one day and say, hey, I'm installing new software on my system that us as a company hasn't used before? It doesn't happen very often. And in exchange for that, outside of taking away the risk of unknown ransomware or unknown malware or go to assist being used against you, or all of these other possible bad things, you also take away this whole shadow IT. So just imagine this as an MSP. You send a laptop out today, and in 5 years' time, it comes back and it's the same way it was when it sent out, minus the cracked screen and everything else. They can't stop that. And you suddenly save so much effort on your help desk from people self-harming. It's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah. And I think as a CEO of a company, I mean, gives me a little comfort to know that, my employee who's not very technically savvy is not downloading like a file sharing app to listen to music or some stupid thing, a coupon, whatever it is. It's just, they can't just go rogue and upload, download whatever they want, to protect my company data. So I think that's really cool. All right, let's do this. If someone wants to see this in action, they want to learn more about the real deal of what this is, what you guys do, where do they go? Where do they get more information?
So we've got some special deals at the moment. If you're watching the Spotlight, so if you go to threatlocker.com/spotlight, you can actually schedule a demo from there. We can show you the product. We can put you on a free trial. You can walk you through the process. We also have a webinar we're going to follow up on with this, where we're actually going to show you ransomware running and how you can stop it and how you can ring fence it as well. It's not always about, maybe I allow something because I think it's okay, but I limit what it can do and it doesn't eat my files. So we're going to show you those examples from non-administrative permissions right up to whitelisted or ring fenced. On December 22nd, you can book that at threatlocker.com/spotlight. It's definitely worth watching. It's going to be really, really effective. And it's going to show you how things like PAM, yes, they're important. We can offer you PAM. It's great, but you've got to pick the right tool for the right job, because if you don't, you're just going to end up charging your customers money and you're not going to get any value out of it. And then they're going to come back to you saying, but you said if I'm not an admin, I'm not going to get ransomware. And why have I got ransomware?
Right. Yeah. You don't want to have that conversation. Very uncomfortable. All right. So knock it off with the bullshit sugar pills, people. All right. So get over to threatlocker.com/spotlight and check it out. Get a demo, see what this is about. I know a lot of our members use your program and they love it. So I can really recommend that you guys go check it out. All right, Danny, thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you very much, Robin.